I'm Justin Jensen, and welcome to my channel. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and may fall again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. Teddy Roosevelt. Well, hello, my little cool cats and kittens. It's good to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Please let me know out in the world if you can hear me and see me okay before I start gabbing. How's everyone doing? It's so great to see everyone. Got a lot to talk about today. We are going to be talking about the Idaho 4 and Brian Kohlberger, of course. And the title today is The Walls Were Closing In. And they certainly were closing in for Brian Kohlberger. And we're going to talk a lot about it. Great. Oh, I'm so glad you caught alive too, Blue Eyes. Good to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate it. While you guys are filing in, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. It is so important for us YouTubers right now. As you know, in the beginning of the year, they changed a lot of the YouTube rules. They take more coins from us, and they are more strict on a lot of the words and stuff. So I do want to tell you guys, the video that we will be watching today, there will have words edited out. It'll be muted or beeped out because YouTube does not like that. And forgive me, I have no idea what that beep is, but it's probably someone subscribed or something. I'm so sorry. But thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it. Got a lot to talk about. All right, so we're going to start out. So Brian, almost from the very beginning, Brian Kohlberger had it out with his bosses, nearly from the beginning, days to weeks apart. We're going to be talking about what all that happened. And it seems like, obviously, Brian didn't like any type of authority, and he showed no one respect. He literally thought everyone was beneath him. Was this from his childhood? I think so, personally. I think it's where he may have been picked on or bullied. He was still angry, carrying old baggage around with him, and it diseased his mind. And this was a type of protection mechanism for him. Now, yeah, he did not like authority at all. You're right, Just a Girl. You're absolutely right. Thank you guys so much. So we're going to play some videos. We're going to comment on it. We're going to look over some legal paperwork and some articles. We got a lot to talk about. So I just want to tell you guys again that in these videos, there's going to have some bleeps, some mutes, some cuts, and some blurs because YouTube. Okay. Let me see here. Can y'all see that? Okay, perfect. All right. I don't know if I need to mute. Let me know if...
And regularly discusses her obsession with Kohlberger.
Let me know if there's a...
In fact, in one recent post, she wrote, quote, Brian is being kept isolated from other inmates, and so I do know that we do both likely sleep alone. And
okay.
I don't mean that I reach out to him to receive anything back at all.
Is there any type of echo with that? Please let me know. I think I need to move over. Is there any type of echo or anything? Let me know. So Brian. No echo? Perfect. Thank you. Brian has a love interest. I forgot about this part I was going to talk about. Brian has a love interest. Hold on one second. I need to move this camera. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot of things going on in Facebook world right now. There's just a lot of issues going on. I don't know if they're doing some updates. You know, they did make a bunch of changes in the beginning of the year. We'll see if it works out. I'm sure it will eventually. Be careful, A Dizzle. Driving.
From him, but
so we're going to be talking first. We're going to talk about Brian Kohlberger's love interest. Why is she doing this? Is she, you know, how she knows him, how we all know Brian Kohlberger is because of the heinous, you know, lives taken of 4 young, beautiful individuals. So how can a person actually love, dare I say, like, lust even over someone like that? That's a hard pill to swallow, and to me it's a slap in the parents' faces. Let's continue.
Since I do that from a place of caring about him, sharing my feelings, and know what a serious situation he's in, but it's understandable how I wonder how he feels about me. Doctor, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Great to be here.
Surprised? Not surprised that this is not the first time we've seen this, right? We've seen it with Ted Bundy. We've seen it with Charles Manson. What is the obsession with these kinds of defendants? I mean, is it the danger of it? Is it the fame of it? Why do people get attached?
So some women, men, whoever you love, like the, you know, what they call the bad boys. But this goes to a different extreme of bad boy. This is an evil boy, not a bad boy. There's a difference. You know, a bad boy is, you know, more, I don't know, it's more of a, you know, the way they kind of act. They may get into a little trouble, but it's more of a saying, a bad boy, I guess. But yeah, never understand it.
Well, they are famous, infamous, and I think there's a confusion there. And there's something about a dangerous man that can be appealing to some women. And there's a seductiveness there with many of these men in prison, so they can be very charming. The advantage of pursuing somebody who is behind bars is you don't have to deal with them in real life. So they can't frustrate you. There are bars that separate you from them. So they won't leave socks on the ground, dirty dishes in the sink. They're more of a fantasy in reality.
So a lot of people say that women of these types of behavior who do these types of things do this for a protection mechanism for themselves. A, so they won't get hurt. B, they may be used to the bad boys and that kind of is appealing to them. But they do this so they feel like they still have some sort of relationship and some sort of bad boy, but they know that they are never going to physically or emotionally be in distress again. Now, I don't know this woman who is all over Brian Kohlberger now. Is she doing it for attention? A lot of people think so. Some people, think it's okay. I personally think it's disgusting.
Well, here's more of what she has to say about him. So she goes, if anyone ever says that I can't be sexually attracted to my love interest, Brian, as well as genuinely care about his well-being at the same time, I know for a fact that they're wrong, since I feel both of those things for him. And although I'm attracted to him, I also wish I had a significant mutual bond that isn't just based on sex. By the way, this is someone who's never met him, and the only reason she even knows who he is because of the horrific crimes that he's accused of. So the reason I ask you that is because it seems to me, you mentioned fame. Mm-hmm. If she's also not just writing him, she's posting on Facebook, right? She doesn't have to do that. If she really loves him, she just send him the notes. Doesn't it seem she's trying to get something out of this?
Well, they've done studies and
Exactly. What is she actually getting out of this? Why does she need to post love videos? Oh my God. Why does she need to post love videos on Facebook, social media? I mean, the news is picking it up, and obviously I'm talking financial. Okay, I got kicked off for some reason. Can you guys hear me? I got booted. Yep, can you guys hear me now? Let me know. Okay, thank you. Sorry, there's like a 15-second delay between you and I. So when I ask you a question, it's like 15 seconds behind. So I apologize. There is like a 15. Yeah. Okay, cool. Is there a financial motive involved in this? Is this just a way to get her 15 minutes of fame? Possibly. I think it is, because otherwise she wouldn't be posting on social media. So obviously Brian can't see her social media. I don't think has that privilege right now. Maybe not ever will. So the best way to reach out to him is to write him a letter. So just do that. She does like attention apparently, and we're all talking about it. Every one of us are talking about it. National news coverage from all in this country and several others, around the world. So many of his YouTubers. So she's getting our attention, but it's still creepy.
Millennials, what they want most is fame. So she could be seeking fame for herself. But when I saw this, I also thought of a love addict. Right? And love addicts often have fantasy relationships with somebody who's not really available to them. They project all of their wishes onto this man, and it doesn't need to happen in reality. Y'all who follow it are just
okay. So what's your thoughts on that before we get into the deeper diving stuff that really mattered? The woman needs counseling. Does anyone know, is she a mother? Has she talked about any of her past relationships? Plant Divas, I'm going out on a limb and guess this woman has no clue what real love is. Yeah. Yes, Plant Diva. I could not agree more. Yeah, and I mean, something, and this is the thing for me, like, even if you're doing this for attention, there is a lot better ways that you can get attention. I mean, you can get attention for anything, really. Now, this, you know, think about the 4 lives that have been taken. And then you say, I mean, he is innocent until proven guilty, technically, in the court of law, maybe not in the public opinion, but in the court of law, yes, he is innocent until proven guilty. But still, even if someone was accused, I would still hold off my, I don't think I would say anything until the jury was out and came back. Yes, and yeah, exactly, Sherry. Ted Bundy had many lady admirers that wrote him and professed their love. Didn't who was it? I can't even think of his name now. He had the cult. He had the cult, and he had that. I can't even think of his name right now. He actually lived in West Virginia and Ohio for a while, but it was out in California. He got married. Charles. What's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Yeah, Manson. Charles Manson. There we go. He didn't he get married in court? He got married in court, I believe. Her face, yeah. Richard Ramirez, yes, just a girl. He got married. So this the saying that there's someone for everyone, that's obviously true. That's obviously true. There's over 7 billion people on the planet, and they choose these people. I'll never understand it, and I'm just never going to understand it. Ted Bundy married Carol Ann from prison and had a child thanks to bad guards. Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Thank you, Nosy, for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Guys, the memberships are so important for our channels, and I can't thank y'all enough for being members, Patreons, everything. It matters now more than ever with all the YouTube gumbo that's going on. So thank you so much, Nosy. I do appreciate it. Turned on by a killer, I suppose. It's a little weird. All right. I didn't leave sorry, Ashley. I actually didn't leave the best photo of you paused there. But okay. All right. Let's continue. Now we're going to get into more of the topic here.
Frustrated by the gag order. But it's in place because both the prosecutor and the defense attorney believe that if there's too much information out there, Mr. Brian Kohlberger is going to have a poisoned jury pool, and no one's going to be able to be fair and impartial. I don't always agree with that because I did OJ, and I did Jody, and I did Casey, and you can always find a jury. It makes it a little more hard, though, and sometimes more expensive. So that might be the mission here. But speedy and public trial by an impartial jury.
Yeah, so they're talking about the jury. Whoop, whoop. John Deere Girl, thank you for becoming a member. Everyone, welcome your sister, John Deere Girl, to the Justin for All family. Thank you so much, John Deere Girl. God bless you. I appreciate your membership. It really does mean a lot. Talking about the jury pool. Now, that the day you arrest someone, you have to literally start worrying about taking this to trial and making sure everything is kosher. And when I mean kosher because someone can get off with this. Someone, doing it another trial again is a nightmare. And the jury doesn't always come back the same with the next jury, right? So, yeah.
So, with the back and forth, some paperwork got filed just in the last 48 hours, where they have fought against the family of Steve Gonsalves and his attorney, Shannon Gray. They were trying to modify the gag order. And they have both said, prosecutor and defense attorney, no, don't want to do that. They just don't. They've said if Mr. Gray truly intends only to voice his client's thoughts and opinions, then the court's previous exemption has already cured the supposed First Amendment infirmity. Mr. Gray's clients may voice these thoughts and opinions themselves, as they have clearly been doing, which means
Okay. Well,
that the families can talk if they want to, but their lawyers can't.
so that's good news. That is very good news that, you know, the families of these victims can still talk. In my opinion, they should not be silenced. The gag order is extraordinarily frustrating. However, it seems News Nation has a source from the inside. I don't know who, you know, I don't know. I don't want to know anything about it, to be honest with you. But it seems like someone is talking to News Nation, maybe to other outlets as well. But they better not get caught doing something like that, because they could definitely lose their job if this continues. So, and you know, News Nation, they're getting some flack for it. Everybody has the right to their opinion.
That's what that means. So I want to bring in Dave Ehrenberg, because he's a state prosecutor in Palm Beach County, and he gets it. He doesn't have to keep.
Hold on. And another thing is like, even if the victims' families did not listen to the gag order, right? What are you going to do? You're going to arrest them? You're not going to arrest these victims' families, are you? So, you know, they're still able to speak. Just wanted to put that in there.
How do you balance it?
Well, good evening, Ashley. Sixth Amendment, which ensures a right to a fair trial and impartial jury, a right to counsel. And in fact, Ashley, little constitutional lesson. Do you know who's not mentioned in the U.S. Constitution? Of crime. They are not mentioned anywhere in the U.S. Constitution. The Constitution speaks quite frequently about defendants and suspects. The Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, the Eighth Amendment, but not one word about it. And so you can see why the court will bend over backwards to ensure that this defendant gets a fair trial. And that means let's limit the pretrial publicity, because that could taint the jury pool. And now you may be wondering, why are the prosecutors agreeing with the defense lawyers? Because the worst thing in the world for prosecutors is to have to do it all over again, to get a conviction only to have it overturned on appeal, then to start over, and it's not good for families.
Professor, he's the author of the best-selling book, Why We...
Okay, so talking about this, you know, this jury pool and everything, you know, it's a small town. It's a small town. You are not going to find someone in that area of not knowing about what happened, the murders. You're just not. And everyone has an opinion, I'm sure, about this. I mean, someone might not have an opinion, but you know, you're going to have to find the open-minded who can take, you know, be very neutral and find out who you're going to need 12 of them out of that entire town. So the audio the people keep saying is fake isn't fake. It's definitely real, and there's a reason it is tightening for the gag order. Interesting. In my opinion, more will come out of the trial, and DM and BF is never spoken, which is strange. Yeah. Okay. Already read that one. Hello, my love. Good to see you, Grandma. I think they've had enough evidence to arrest. Yes. Now, what were really did they decide to move the trial? Are they moving it to Boise, like they are the Lori Daybell, Chad Daybell? No worries, SB. I've always wondered, are others involved? It really gets me wanting, waiting before calling law enforcement and all those other kids. Hold on, what was that comment that just said that? You see, I personally don't think that there is anyone else directly involved. I don't think that there was anyone else directly per se involved. A lot of people do though. I mean, I could be wrong. They haven't arrested anyone else. So I mean, I believe that the FBI, um, Moscow police, all the agencies that have worked on here, they still haven't arrested anyone else. And Brian did say, did they arrest anyone else when they first arrested him? I think it was just more of a manipulation thing, in my opinion. 1 second. All right.
Love series, the curious appeal of the world's most savage. Dr. Bond, you probably just heard the breaking news that we just reported on all of these conflagrations that Brian Kohlberger seemed to have been having with his professors, with his students, and with other people among the staff, to the point where he was cut loose. He was fired from Washington State University from his teaching job. I just wanted to get your initial reactions to sort of that behavioral profile as you look at then now what he's
We'll talk about Dylan in just a minute.
accused.
Well, absolutely. And first of all, thank you for having me on this evening. And I wanted to say, I was thinking about this myself. I was a TA when I was getting my PhD at the University of Miami. I was a TA, and that TA position was tied to my funding, my assistantship that paid for my entire education.
Okay. Oh, sorry, 1 second. So Brian Kohlberger, from the moment he started this job, almost just a few short weeks later, he was reprimanded and a plan was put in place. He would backtalk others, professors and everything. He would backtalk his boss, other aides. He was extraordinarily rude to women, particularly his students. He would grade students, women students, in a much more strict fashion, which shows some sex-ism, right? YouTube doesn't want me to say it. So, and it all boils back to how he was treated. And this is the thing. Brian never got the clue. He never got the clue that we mean business by his bosses. Even after putting a plan in place, they said he got a little bit better, but it wasn't enough. I don't know why I keep getting booted. I'm sorry. I keep getting booted. I apologize. As the walls were closing in on Brian, he was about to lose his home, his livelihood, and everything. I kind of feel like, can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me still? Am I here? Are you here? Am I here? Make sure y'all can hear me before we get. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I kind of think, was Brian putting so much time and energy hold on, I need to turn something off to make sure it's not. I don't know why it keeps booting me. I'm praying it doesn't boot me again. See, I'm with a new streaming service and now I hate it. All right, we'll try it again. Was Brian Kohlberger, was he more interested in the girls at 1122 King Road, or was he more interested in his job? I'm half here for a mitten stop. DC, you're funny as shit. You're funny. Funny. Was he actively using at that time? Was he staying up all night long looking outside these, this house? He obviously, there is at least 10 times where we know that Brian was at 1122. I think he had rage from his job and women. Let me see what you say. I think he had rage from his job and women. It all came to a head that day. See, I think he had rage build up for so many years against women, but if he was actively clean, let's say he wasn't in active addiction at the time, was this another way for him to spend his time to cope? Or was he in active addiction? And there was just too much going on around him to not pay attention to his job, or just did he not care? Did he not care about his job, or did he just not want to be told what to do and he thought he was right about everything? Suppressed rage that exploded. I could not agree more with you. I think the night that rage came out of Brian, I think he was literally a wild animal. I don't even think he realized the rage that would have came out of him. Okay, and to be honest with you, I think it's a very big possibility. Now, did you see a second lawyer on a case, a man? I'm sorry, you'll have to be a little more specific on that. Shannon said Brian had a fascination with numerology and numbers. Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, this could be a part of his, OCD. A lot of people that have OCD tendencies, they'll like even or odd numbers. It's usually even numbers, or they like certain numbers better than others. And they really put a lot of time and energy into astrology, the forecast, all of that. Something triggered him that night. Well, I think he knew that he was about ready to literally get kicked to the curb. Now let's listen to this because it's extraordinarily fascinating.
So that is not something you want to lose. You do not want to risk losing something like that. And the fact that it escalated so quickly and that he was terminated in his first semester there would suggest to me that his behavior really was egregious. That it was something that had become a big problem for the department and the university. And so I wanted to just give that as a little bit of background. But to the extent that that this letter, which I don't believe the letter has been completely authenticated yet, but if it is in fact true and the timeline is true, then this is something that could have absolutely contributed to him reaching a tipping point in his career and leading him to strike out in this terrible situation.
Yeah, we don't have our hands on the letter yet, but we've had the essence of it authenticated by a source close to the investigation, and that's the next best thing without actually getting your hands on a copy of the termination letter. And obviously, when it comes to those kinds of staff and policy, obviously administrative staff policies, employment records are pretty private. It's hard to get your hands on those things. But I'm curious about. Yeah, I was so curious when you said that for you, the teaching assistant job was tied to the actual program. And I'm guessing that that's not a far stretch to suggest the accommodations that were on campus as well might have been part of that too. So there could have been a lot of stress. What I can't understand is the utter bravado that it would take if all of that was on the line and you're getting warning after warning and a helping hand to try to work through your problems. What kind of personality do you think this is that would literally thumb his nose at the authority that hold his future in their hands?
Great question. And this crime that he...
Okay, and that is exactly what I was just talking about. He literally would, this job holds his income, his first major job since he graduated, right? Like major job, his everything, his future, his credibility. Why did he let all of that tank? Was it just his impulses and he thought he was legitimately right about all of this and he couldn't help himself? That's the question.
Committed is actually, but I've been saying for some time now that the more that we learn about him, his development and his progression seems more similar to and I've studied extensively for some time, and so this didn't just happen, Ashley. I think that he was evolving, developing over a period of time, and he reached a tipping point where he simply couldn't take it anymore, and he had to act out on his fantasy.
Now, we obviously we know that this happened over a period of time, because almost from the for several months we knew that Brian was going to 1122, and this did build up, but it still doesn't answer all of the questions of was he just so fixated on one of these individuals at 1122, one of the four, one of the women, we'll just say one of the women, one of the victims there? Was he so fascinated? Was he so enamored that he couldn't even think about anything else? Or what was it? What was it? It's to cause you to lose your first major job, your financial outlook, your home, making your family proud, and it was all out the window. And it's a lot.
And so something like this, where the rug has been pulled out from under him, his funding, his home, as you said, which I do believe was probably tied to his assistantship and his TA position, it could have just pushed him over the edge to the point that he had to act out. And because the escalation was already there, as you said, he was in trouble by September, by October. The murders took place in November, but he already knew that he was in deep trouble by then.
So in September, he knew he was in deep doo-doo. October certainly knew, and like he was probably about ready to be out. And November is when the unalivings happened at 11:22. 4 people. It was a buildup. I think he looks the part too, CR. Ugh.
Well, he still has the presumption of innocence, and these are allegations against him until they're proven in a court of law. So at this point, he is an accused quadruple. I'm still just so astounded by the this and the allegations that he was grading the women differently than the men, and that to me would be a big red flag for those teachers. Or
Now we remember, maybe some of you remember rather. I don't know. Right after Kohlberger was arrested, one of his students did come out, and it was a guy, and he said that Brian was a very hard grader, and he contested his grades. Again, I don't know if it was. I think it was against Brian's upper class, the upper his boss or whatever, and he just said Brian did not grade fairly. Now, people say when Brian was, when he was a student, he would always raise his hand and he would say every single thing that he knew about the answer from beginning to end. Was this some compulsion in his head that he had to let everyone know that he knew the answers and he knew them well? Or was it just more of a this to prove everyone that he knows everything? I don't know. Was it just a compulsion for him, for himself, to make sure that he wants? I just don't know. Like, it's my mind starts spinning this, and I'm like, oh my god, it's too much. After he graded them a bit lighter. Yes, and Plant Diva, very good point. The student said after after the unalivings took place, he seemed more tired, and he was just giving everyone hundreds. And he would usually leave notes for the students and be very, very detailed. And there would be minimal notes of anything. It was just a flat 100, which everyone thought that was odd, but you still don't, think that, your teacher, the teacher's assistant, is unaliving people 10 minutes down the road.
should have been, and perhaps they did catch it very quickly as they started right in September. Incredibly quiet and tight-lipped at Washington State University, not just in the administrative side, but also among the students. And that's why I want to bring in our Brian Enton, who's our senior national correspondent at News Nation. All of this is quite surprising. Here we are months after the Brian, and this information is coming out, and it is very, very hard to get official acknowledgement of this from Washington State University.
It is, Ashley, and this is very interesting what you have uncovered, because I'm thinking back to when I was in the building there, where you just saw the video where Brian Kohlberger was teaching, was also a student, a PhD student, criminal justice there at Washington State University. And the first thing I noticed when I was wandering around all of the hallways on multiple floors is on the bulletin boards, they had all of the teacher assistants, the TAs, and the professors listed in many different places, and his name didn't appear anywhere. I initially thought, okay, they went through after the arrest and they got his name off of everything in this building. But now I'm wondering, with this new information you're reporting, did they take his name down much earlier because he was in fact fired?
Well, it's pretty fascinating because
Did they take Brian's name down from the building not because of what he did, allegedly, that he has been arrested and his name has been, if he's proven guilty, forever scorned. Did they take his name down because he was already fired? Just simply, taking the plates off the doors and everything like that for the new spring session of school? Or was it because of what he did? I think probably a lot of his names was already down previously.
Because if you think about the dates, December 22nd, if he's withdrawn from the data system in that university, he still hasn't been arrested until December 30th, that Friday night. And we are also told that it was official, his official termination actually happened at the very end of that month. He was told, you're finished, you're not going to be a TA in the spring session. I'm not sure about the winter session, but it, the word has it that it was the 30th, that it was completely over, and that just, that ends up being the same day that he was arrested.
December 30th was the day he was arrested, and that was the day that he was officially terminated from the school. It just really was a coincidence. It wasn't because of necessarily what he did. It was already in the works.
Curious about is why the students are so quiet about this. I understand the staff. They work for WSU. They have to toe the line if WSU doesn't want them speaking, but students don't work for the school. They can talk if they want to, and yet they haven't.
They've talked a little bit, Ashley. They don't want to go on camera when we've been on campus in the past, but they have spoken a little from what we've gathered. He was a TA of both Justice 101 and law. We heard from several students along the way that he gave off weird vibes, that they got a creepy feeling from him.
Now, I'll show you guys something in a little bit. Brian literally enjoyed, when you can feel like someone looking at you, you know what I mean? You can feel, it's like a feeling, and you look over and someone's looking at you. Well, Brian liked that he made people feel uncomfortable. And when you have, when you have someone like that, it's a very uncomfortable feeling because you're expecting them to say something at you if they're looking at you for a long period of time. And Brian enjoyed that. He loved to make people feel uncomfortable. Women uncomfortable. He didn't particularly like women. He didn't like anyone of LGBTQ. Basically, if you weren't a straight white male, he wasn't interested in you. He thought you were beneath him.
We also heard something that matched up with your new reporting tonight, that he was a hard grader. That at one point, actually, there was such an issue with the way that he was grading papers that a higher level professor had to come in and get involved at one point.
Brian, I remember when that original reporting.
That's what I said.
But I never remember anyone delineating between the grading being tougher on the women
That's when you say, "Can I help you?" I'd be like, "Yeah, can I help you, Mother Fletcher?" Because why are you staring?
Than on the men, just that he was very hard on the students. But not only are we hearing that he was grading women differently, but also that he was rude to women and that he, quote, had a sexist attitude towards women among his multiple behavioral problems.
Yeah, that is new. I haven't heard it to that extent. We did hear a little bit about possibly some sexism. We also heard, if you don't remember, Ashley, about there was an issue. Maybe had an issue with like a pride flag on a door in one of the school buildings there. But in terms of,
so he had a problem with a pride flag on one of the doors at the where he worked at the school. So people have a pattern. There is, if someone is, doesn't like someone of color and is a starts with an R, I don't know if I can say it or not on YouTube anymore. I don't know what I can say. Or is a homophobe, something like along those lines. It's always a pattern of behavior for these people. And for Mr. Homophobe, aka Brian Kohlberger, he has had numerous instances of people saying that he was a homophobe. So he apparently was. And just to be honest with you, I can't imagine, someone being. What if he had? Did he? I'm sure he did. He had LGBTQ plus students or people of color or black or brown skinned students. Of course, you did, right? And can you imagine of how uncomfortable what he was, yitching about a flag on the door? Please.
going to the level with your new reporting tonight to the point where he was actually fired, and there were so many issues that he was actually fired as a TA. That's brand new.
I'm just looking over this timeline again, and it's pretty astounding because he only started as a TA at the end of August. But the problem started right away on September 20th.
All right, let's look at this. Thank you, Cara. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you for the support. So this is the altercations alleged job termination timeline of Kohlberger. September 23rd, he had an altercation with the professor. I wonder if she was a woman. And another thing I've wondered, how do you think Brian is taking it that his attorney is a woman? She's a very, she's got an incredible, portfolio case underneath of her. And I'm sure that that's probably comforting to Brian. But how does it, does he, are they going to bump heads a lot? That's besides the point. But October 3rd, meeting to discuss professional behavior. October 3rd, so the very beginning of October, after, the end toward of September, after he had the altercation with the professor, they're like, hey, dude, it's time to get professional about this. A couple weeks later, he received an email about failure to, quote, meet expectations. So it it's week by week that's going on here, and he is not changing nothing. And I'm sure if he would have just changed half of it, they would have probably kept him. Yeah, the second attorney, he's a male. Yeah, that's true. That's true. He was going down extraordinarily fast. Did the professor have a pride flag on it? They didn't say whose pride flag it was or anything. They just said that he had an issue with a pride flag on Adore. So after he received the email in October 21st that he was failing to meet the expectations, a couple weeks again rolls around to November 2nd, meeting to discuss improvement plan. So they've already had a meeting with him before about his professional behavior. I mean, these people are giving this man, like, listen, we've had a meeting about your behavior. We've emailed you about your expectations. Now we're getting ready to have a meeting for your improvement plan. So it's like another meeting is going on. Okay. So November 2nd, meeting to discuss improvement plan. December 7th. This is after the murders. Meeting to discuss improvement plan. Progress. The improvement plan progress. And they said although there was some progress, it certainly wasn't enough to meet the expectations. Now, December 9th, he had a second altercation with the professor. Just 2 days prior, about his meeting with the to discuss the improvement plan progress. 2 days later, he has another altercation. He was going down. The walls were closing in. He had the stress at work. He was up all out. I mean, can you imagine? This man had to be up all hours of the night. Once the lives were taken at 11:22, he was still had to work, and he was up on all hours, I'm sure, researching, not sleeping. And in my opinion, he had to be on something if he wasn't sleeping, right? December 9th, he has the second altercation. December 19th, he is officially terminated. Now, I think that they terminated him maybe over Zoom or something like that. They had to have. Thank you, my dear. The trial is going to be wild. This trial is going to be humongous. I think how his parents caused, they were proud of their son, and they found out he was. Yeah, well, the thing is, Brian, he left his everything back in his life. Like he had everything, I guess, packed up in a car, in that little car that he was taking with him. I believe when he left that place, his apartment, he had gotten rid of every single thing that really was probably any form of evidence. And we have to, I mean, potentially, because now he wasn't caught on this time. They had eyes on him, yes, but he had no idea that they had eyes on him. But he knew that he wasn't coming back to that apartment. He knew that he wasn't coming back to that job. Now, did his mom and dad know that he was coming back, or that he was fired rather, and that he was going to be out in Pennsylvania for the foreseeable future? That's the question. Something just dinged. If I don't know what it was. If I missed something, I apologize. All right. So let's continue this. It's almost
23rd. Look at this timeline. There are just mere sometimes days and short weeks in between each issue. But the very first thing started within a month, a fight with his professor. And then letters saying, you've got to be, up on your professional behavior. You're not meeting the expectations. We need an improvement plan. We got to meet about the improvement plan. And another fight, like 2 fights with the professor, all in the course of a couple of months. All the while hearing, like, not in this timeline,
Thank you,
but
Brenda.
hearing these reports of being rude to women and being troublesome in the grading department. So what's curious is if Kohlberger's program was tied to his teaching job. And not only that, he had an on-campus office and he had an on-campus apartment. And it's possible that those things were tied to his teaching job as well. So is it possible, Brian, that his whole life was about to collapse because he was being...
Thank you, CR. Thank you so much for 5 months of supporting the channel. I could not do it without you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the members.
He was
Thank
fired, but he knew that was coming, or at least he should have known it might have been coming. And he might have lost his program and his accommodations on campus.
He definitely would have.
It's a very big possibility. Let's go back and think to the fact that his dad came out to drive with him back to Pennsylvania. A lot of people question that. Why would the dad fly all the way over there to drive the car all the way back just for a Christmas break? Why wouldn't he just fly?
I want to know, what did those parents know? It's particularly the dad. I mean, if you're driving back with someone that takes literally days to, and that is like almost, literally nonstop driving, days to get across the country, there had to be a conversation about everything. This dad, if he did not know, he had to have at least thought, suspected, or something.
Back would it even maybe be cheaper? Was there more going on behind the scenes now that we know all of this?
I think so. I personally think so. I mean, how could there not? His dad gives me the creepers too. Yeah, I mean, they say that. What was that comment? They say that the people that know Brian Kohlberger's family say that his mother particularly and his parents are just wonderful people. Now, I will say that the father, from what I have learned privately, is that his father, all of the family on Brian's dad's family, they're all originally from New York, in that area, New Jersey, and there's a lot of brothers and sisters on that side. It's a big family. They were raised up very close, and out of all of Brian's father's brothers and sisters, Brian's father was kind of the outcast even of the large family. Now, all of Brian's father's brothers and sisters, they all ended up moving out west, mainly to Nevada, places like that. And Brian's dad was the only child out of all of them that did not move when they all moved out west. He was the black sheep of the family, and apparently Brian Kohlberger is definitely the black sheep of the family as well. It's not normal to sit and stare at someone, causing them to be uncomfortable, particularly a man doing that to a woman. I don't know. What you got here for me? Mandy says, I'm curious if Brian hid the alleged firing from him on the way home, like if he just kept things to himself. Possibly. Maybe the only time it came up was whenever they got pulled over, but they brought it up when, Brian brought it up. Why did he bring it up? Was it to test out the officers to see what, they was going to say, or was it just conversation? Who knows? Dad was too chatty to cops, he knew, in my opinion. Interesting. This is why a friend of mine, that's because he does stare. He does stare at people. This is why a friend of mine got his on top of his head waiting for the bus. Staring is very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. Brian's father told police officers when stopped that the son worked at WSU. Okay, Jesse, good to see you. Let me see here. Now, does anyone know for a fact that Kaylee or Xana, do we know that there was a OnlyFans? Because there's talk about it and all of that. Obviously, I didn't go to OnlyFans and see, so I'm sure it wouldn't be there anyways. But I've never. She was his eyeballs were just freaking creepy. His eyeballs, like he's got really dark hair and he's got really light skin and he's got like green eyes, and I can't. That was a rumor. Okay, thank you, Jesse. Okay, there is okay, let me show you this letter from oh no, hold on. Share screen. Okay, here we go. This is the letter that they are saying that I don't, and this says here, for everyone reporting that Brian Kohlberger termination letter, it is word for word from a YouTube TikTok account that has no credibility. She even states that she got it from someone verified who they were, but the letter has not been verified. Sorry, it's all I could do on my phone late night. So this may be like bulletin points about what Brian Kohlberger's. Why do people make up shit? That's my. I'll just say it. I'm done with it. Why do they make up stuff? Now, there is a. I thought that. Has it not came out yet? Let me pull something up. I thought I got booted for a second. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Something's. Download. Okay. 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 There we go. And that's still not right. Let me see. Let me download this and then I'll pop it back over. Okay, now I got it. And it's sideways. Perfect. I think it's sideways. Look, I just did it. It went sideways. Perfect. Good God. I don't know about the fantasy or whatever. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't know why people make up crap. They make up stuff all. Hold on, let me re-download it and see if it'll freaking work now. I hate when things don't work out. Okay, maybe if I do it like this and just do present. Okay. Okay, this will work. Perfect. I think maybe perfect. Share. Bear with me, I'm on new streaming software. Okay, I think I got it. I think I did. Okay. Can y'all see that like this? Okay, I'll just do it like this. Maybe if I do present, it'll do it. Okay, there we go. All right. So this goes credit to Sleuthie Goosie. Love her. And people was talking about her really not nice on Twitter the other day. And Sleuthie Goosie is the sweetest human, and she keeps it like for real factual. So don't be mean to Sleuthie Goosie. She's beautiful inside and out. She was replying to under the law, you don't have to prove you're innocent. You are already presumed innocent. And the state's burden is to prove you're guilty. This is not unbiased, and it's also worded irresponsibility. And I'm pretty surprised not having anything to produce doesn't equal guilt. I thought that was very well stated. It's not up for anyone. It's not up for the defense to prove that he's not guilty. It is up for the prosecution. They have to prove, because he is already considered innocent from the very beginning, and we have to make sure the prosecutors like legit have everything on on standby. Now, I want to talk about this very quickly. I don't know how this thing has a clock up. I can't see you guys for a moment. But according to News Nation, there was a Bluetooth speaker that was found on the 3rd floor. And what if Brian Kohlberger took his phone inside? Now, this would be a very damning instance that if Brian took his phone into the crime scene. Because we know that he turned it off during the murders, and you're saying, well, if it's turned off, he didn't turn it off. He allegedly put it on airplane mode during the murders, not necessarily turning it off. However, this is so important, guys, whenever you have it on airplane mode, it still tries to connect to a Bluetooth. There you go. Bingo. Bingo, just a girl. Still could have. And if that happened, that is going to be a really hard part that is where like the defense is going to have to explain that away sometimes. It would be very damaging to it. The speaker was allegedly found in Kaylee's room. Now, what else was found in Kaylee's room, right? The dog. The dog. But even on airplane mode, it still reaches out to Bluetooth devices. But I was thinking, even if it was on airplane mode and it was in the car, like let's say, for instance, it was in the car, could it still reach to the bedroom? I think it could still reach, because he was parked very close to the house, and allegedly his phone has tried to connect to Wi-Fi before, other times whenever. Yes, Murphy, there we go. Yep, there we go, Shannon. So if it would connect to the Wi-Fi in the past, wouldn't it connect to the Bluetooth? And I'm afraid that's why the defense is going to say, well, he may have been outside, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, they're going to try to find a way to explain all of this. There are holes. There are holes in this case. I heard his Wi-Fi tried to connect with the Wi-Fi in the Range Rover. Now, I don't know. Let me check my phone. You know, I have Wi-Fi in my car, right? I do have Wi-Fi in my car. And let me see if my Wi-Fi is on right now from my car, because it's turned off, right? Let me check something. Okay. I don't see. Yes, Texas Angel. That's what I was thinking. That's why I was wanting to check. Wouldn't the Range Rover have to be on? The Range Rover would have to be on. And my Wi-Fi is not on right now because my car is not on. My car is not on, right? I mean, unless like you know, see, I don't think that's the thing. Kaylee was only there with that Range Rover one time. It was that one night. That one night. I don't see how it could be connected to the Range Rover. I mean, unless he was there hours beforehand, but it's not. I don't think so. Plus, his Bluetooth had to have been turned on. Most people don't keep Bluetooth on when they aren't using it. That's true, Lex. That's true. I thought it was the Jeep. Erica says. What about black? Guys, there's going to be so much crap that comes out once this trial goes underway, especially with the gag order, that we don't know really nothing. What about Black Explorer? Maybe it hasn't been released. I mean, with the Range Rover, she only had it like literally one day that she was there. Okay, now here's the let me see if there's anything here I want to go over you guys with before okay, this is from Sleuthie, and I think I love all things Sleuthie. They were saying, let me find it. Okay, talking about Dylan, because somebody asked me what my thoughts was about Dylan. Now, I know, again, a lot of people are going after Dylan. I don't want to place, this is me. I don't want to talk about someone in that house in any negative light other than Brian Kohlberger allegedly being in that house. The only person that I will talk negative that lived or lived or lives or lived in that house or was in that house, I will only speak negative about Brian Kohlberger at this time. I won't speak negative about Dylan or the other roommate, anyone. That's just my personal stance on it. It doesn't mean that I might not be slightly critical on some of them, but the thing is, I just don't feel like we have solid evidence to know what anything is about, really, at this point. And that is my personal belief. Um, you know, we haven't heard Dylan and the other girls speak. I know people that I know and a lot of YouTubers and other things, they have been very critical of them. That is their right, but I don't want to speak something that I don't want to add insult to injury. I just, on this matter at least. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, that's really all I'm going to say about that part. But this is reading here. It says, different facts that we're just going to say allegedly on literally all of this stuff here that we're going to read. Let me find it. Wasn't shocked the night. I personally don't think that Dylan was shocked the night of the murders. Crap, I just said the M word. I don't think that she was necessarily shocked. I can't imagine someone being in a home and knowing that 4 individuals, two that are, this is my opinion, and you guys are absolutely allowed to have the exact opposite of what I am saying, and I will not fault you one bit, because this is the thing. You don't know and I don't know. This is just our opinions. And minds work differently, and that's what makes us all unique. So you can have the exact opposite of what I'm saying, and I will not fault you for it one bit. I will support you and what you believe. But I feel like I can't imagine someone being her best, her friends that are a few feet over, in the same home, and 2 above her, and just, doing nothing. And while she would allegedly know something, I don't think she thought it was that big of a deal, what was going on. I think she thought her friends were being crazy or silly or whatever. They were loud and stuff all the time. That's what happens in these houses. And it says here, Sleuthie highlighted this, wasn't shocked the night or frozen. Crap. She was just standing in her doorway normally and yelled at Ethan, Xana, and someone she thought was their friend to, quote, be quiet. She went back to her room and locked her door like usual, and thought nothing of it because everything was quiet after she heard them yelling. I mean, I can hear all the chaos and stuff going upstairs. The screaming and stuff. I mean, they probably wrestled all the time. They screamed all the time, played, this is a party house. This is the things that happen. And then I can see going out screaming a couple times, and then finally she just screams at the top of her lungs and be like, "Shut up!" Like, well, all normal homes do, right? At that age. And then it was quiet. The friend left. She's like, "Oh, the friend left," and everyone's quiet in the house. Good night. Let me read what you guys are saying here. I heard the audio file. First-hand info would have to come straight from Dylan's mouth, not some guy's girlfriend, the third party. Interesting. If it were me, I don't know. I'd be completely traumatized for life once I woke up and stumbled up on my friends. Oh my God, of course. Who could not be traumatized? Bundy says, I think they were exhausted. Finals up to Thursday, then events all up till Friday, all up till Saturday till 4 a.m. She's only 19 and the events didn't make sense. Okay. Maybe I get it. People are very passionate about either being very critical of Dylan and the other roommate, or defending Dylan and the roommate. I will say, the other roommate hasn't got a tenth of the criticism that Dylan has. So also wouldn't BCK hear her? Yeah, I feel like there was, at the very end, there was a very loud scream, and that is exactly what spooked Brian. And then it was just out the effing door. I am leaving this place. That something spooked him, whether it was a loud scream, and then that's when it spooked him. Brian's headed out the door, and she's getting ready to open the door and screaming, like, shut up. And then everything finally was quiet. His girlfriend is in Dylan's inner circle. Who is this in reference to? Yeah, I don't know about the audio or anything like that. These were just some notes that was taken. Imagine calling 911 and then the next day everyone is in the house, makes you cough up $600 for calling the cops for the ticket. Imagine calling 911 and the next day everyone. Yeah, that's true. That's exactly right, Rich Betty. And she probably didn't want to be the narc or anything else, so I think it's very possible. I don't know. I just don't I don't want to criticize someone. Like, I get it. We have questions. We all have questions, but I don't want to go at her knowing that when she does speak, we'll be like, oh, well, that makes sense. You know what I mean? I just don't want to add insult to injury right now. Like, the girl, I mean, they have to be going through so much, right? Like, an incredible amount of trauma, and maybe even survivor's guilt. You know what I mean? That's where the info up there is Sleuthie's words came from. Dylan's best friend's boyfriend did a video saying those exact words she's throwing. Exactly, yes. So that's my thing. Well, that's exactly right. Dylan can be the one that makes a huge impact on this trial. And I want, whatever, we believe, hopefully, I just want her to know that she is going up there to feel supported. That's the main thing. That'll be powerful. If she points at him in the courtroom during the testimony, yes, sir, that is the man I saw. That's always a chilling part of the court, and they'll say, describe him or her, right? It's very chilling. Yes, she knows she's a witness. That is enough to have on your own mind, especially at that age, guys. That's the thing. Especially at that age. Can you imagine? Yeah, Tiffany, I'm with you. The public has given so little information, and there's just so much nonsense that is out there, and this is the thing. The more secretive a gag order, if the case has a gag order on it or whatever, the more craziness that's going to come out of it, actually, because it's less facts that we know up until, the trial starts. And there's going to be more rumors. Oh, I heard this. Oh, I heard that. Oh, this person talked to this person, so this must be the truth, right? And it's not. It's all hearsay. Linda, there is so much information we don't know and won't know, and some we may never know. And that's just the way it is. I mean, it stinks. We want to know all of the information, right? But um I don't know, man. They better a lot more to back up. Yeah. I mean, I worry that, like, I personally believe Brian Kohlberger is the man that did this. He is technically innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. I am not a judge, I am not a jury, I am not the court. So my opinion doesn't really matter. I'm just telling you my opinion, and I believe, based upon what we know now, that this man did it. Now, my opinion might change once, court starts and all of that. I personally don't think it will, but it might. I'll try to keep an open mind. But I believe they have the right guy, and as of now, and I think that they need to find everything that they can and be ready for anything that comes to them. Because uh just Samantha, just whoever timed me out, that was cold, man. Samantha, I don't know why anybody timed you out, honey. I'm sorry. I apologize if someone timed you out. Dylan isn't allowed to discuss anything until she takes the stand. Yeah, and she shouldn't. All the backlash DM is getting on the internet and maybe even in her person. Samantha, email me, honey, if you need to tell me something, darling. Dylan's friend's information is hearsay until the trial. I think he has a driver, so Brian, just a gut feeling. Who would the driver be? Like, I've always wondered. I have no proof on this. I have nothing. And this is just a hunch. I always felt like, what's his face? The hippie guy in the can't even think of his name right now. And Brian may know each other because they kind of both seemed a little far out. if you get my drift. They just seemed a lot kind of far out. Let me see here. Yes, Anon. Like, you can, well, I mean, Brian has had some dependency issues on substances, right? And Anon, he literally talks, that's all he talks about pretty much. And so you just kind of think that, is it possible this is how Brian came in contact with that home? Who has the happy button? What's the happy button? What is a happy button? Mm. It's good she, Dylan or Bethany haven't. Sorry, I'm getting used to this thing. Dylan or Bethany haven't spoken, especially with the backlash Dylan has received and all the horrible things people have said about her and not being able to say anything. Yes, it is. It is. And it takes a lot of self-control sometimes to not just want to, come out and defend yourself. And I think as creators, maybe as even, if you've had any beef with anyone anywhere on the, YouTube or social media, sometimes you want to defend yourself. It takes a lot of self-control to like not go crazy sometimes, right? I guess. Anon said he is juggling behind 1122 home. He's a, I don't know. Anon is, I just get, like, I think the dude means well, but do you guys remember, oh my God, do you guys remember that big, big, big art, like his whole entire life on Reddit before? I read that entire thing, and the man has had quite the experiences, quite the experiences. And he's a little like, I don't know, like he likes to like meditate and all into the chakra stuff, and he's like a hippie Buddha, if you will. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up button, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Do I still have this pulled up? Okay. And this also says that Dylan had a rough life growing up, and she has been through a lot, but doesn't have PTSD or trauma. Feds put words in Dylan's mouth. All of this is alleged. Lots of leading statements they made of her. Dylan was very scared the first few days. I can't even imagine. Oh my God. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, like, when you wake up first thing in the morning and like you get like bad news or something bad happens and stuff, that is the worst, right? Just for bad news or anything like. Now imagine finding four of your roommates. Four of your roommates. It would be, you would think you was in a nightmare, because it was a nightmare. And yeah, the fire dancer dude. The fire dancer dude. Yeah. I just literally, that's my heart personally feels for Dylan that just can't imagine. Didn't know. Educated opinion, yes. Also, it causes such. It does. It does cause. That's the. It's the gag order is a blessing and a curse, right? It's a blessing, for people to not be able to talk, but also why people are not talking. There's always someone that will talk for them and find something and swear that it's so, and it's not cool. She's new to the house and didn't want to be nosy. That is true. Dylan was the newest roommate. And I thought that was an interesting thing there. Dylan was, she didn't want to be nosy, and she was, and Dylan and God, I forget her name every time. The other girl, they hung out more than, like Kaylee and Maddie and Ethan and all of them did. They were kind of loners to themselves. They were newer. She didn't get a real good look at the intruder. She thought it was one of Ethan's friends that was getting ready to leave and walk out. But still, yet, this is where I will say, I want to know what this man was wearing. Now, if it was dark in there, did she get a look at the clothes? Did she not get, if you're wearing black, you're probably not, or some very dark color, you're not going to be able to see, a lot of blood on your clothes or anything. Dylan did not want to be tagged a hysterical cop caller if nothing really happened. Yeah, and she probably felt like, they'll think, why are you calling? I don't know. But, oh crap, I almost dropped my drink over. What else do we got here? Feds were aggressive with her the first few days, and that's why she got an attorney in the first place, because the way they were interrogating her. I mean, I don't, Bethany, I always forget Bethany. Think about it. If two people survived and their lives were taken, it kind of points, you're like, why the hell are these two other kids alive, So the feds might have been hard on them, but they also just might have been like, listen, we need everything we can from you. Think. All right. A few days after the incident, she was shown a picture of Brian Kohlberger, and they said, quote, "This is him, right? This is the person you saw, right?" She wasn't sure, but she said yes, definitely, because she saw, or sorry, rather, strike that, because she knew that that's what they wanted her to say, allegedly. Now, I don't get that one, because I mean, how did they know they wanted her to say yes? I mean, was it just like intuition? Like, how did they know that? Yeah, I don't think it was a few days after either, Texas Angel. It had to be at least, like a couple weeks. Bethany was smart to lawyer up straight away. What else do we got? Dylan, her lawyer, quote, all of us, end quote, are upset that she was thrown under the bus in the affidavit. They think she was thrown under the bus on purpose because she was wishy-washy in her interviews, and they wanted to put pressure on her publicly so that she's forced to abide by the story in the affidavit. The scene was contaminated, allegedly. This is all allegedly, guys, so badly by first responders and everyone that was at the house before the police saw them going up and down the steps to make sure they were seeing what they thought they were seeing. Now, that is going to be a freaking nightmare. All those kids in that house beforehand. If there was indeed kids in that house before baby Jesus, it's not going to be good for prosecutors. It's not going to be good. But, we'll just have to see. Did they find any more of his, where was that? Did they find any more of his DNA inside that home except the touch DNA of his knife on the holder? No idea. No. I don't think nobody is detesting the affidavit. Of course, you can't. It is a sworn statement under the penalty of perjury. I think what they're saying is this thing is what I'm showing here is what people were contesting of on the video, the YouTube video, that his girlfriend is in Dylan's inner circle, allegedly. And that's it. None of it stands up in court. None of this stands up in court. Absolutely not. Guys, I'm going to drop this as well. This is thing really quick. It is the best timeline that I have been able to find, and it is from I believe it's from Sleuthie Goosie timeline. And I'm going to drop it in here. Please look at it. It's a PDF, and it is very detailed. Hopefully it'll let me post it. It's through Google Docs. Okay. You guys should look at this. These are very, 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 very detailed. From the moment Brian Kohlberger graduates from DeSales University. So that's that. All right, guys. I appreciate it. I am going to call it a night. I am at 2 hours. So I appreciate you all. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. was the ladder used? I don't think the ladder was ever used. No, that ladder, I found a picture of that ladder being there months and months prior in the same location. So I don't think that ladder had anything at all, in my opinion. Yes, Sleuthie Goosie is the bomb biggity, in my opinion, as well. She's always been good to me. So thank you all. Appreciate it. Do me a favor, hit your thumbs up. Hit it up. Appreciate it. I might be back in a little bit. We're going to be talking about Summerwell's saga and boy, about last night. God, the things that happened last night. It's craziness. All right, guys. Love you all. I'll see you later, okay?